question now is how will Hezbollah respond?
Wait and see. Our message will continue. Our line will continue. Will never stop.
Hezbollah supporters say there will be retaliation when the group is ready for it.
Actually, we're angry, but for the past 30 years, Hezbollah has always taught us that any retaliation has to be logical. Any retaliation has to be well studied before, and this is one of our points of strength against the Israeli enemy.
Thousands of men from Hezbollah are in Syria.
I'm Stephen Ben-Nun, and you are watching Israeli News Live. As you just heard a moment ago there, live footage from Al Jazeera's live news broadcast. We were able to pick up some video footage there of Hezbollah and the reaction that they are showing on the street, the militant group there in Lebanon, in regards to the attack that was done by the Israelis, the bombing that killed 6 of their own commanders, as well as 6 Iranians, including 1 Iranian general. We'll be bringing you later in the news here a little bit more information about the Iranian general that was killed in this attack. But as they said, they will attack. They will attack Israel. They're going to invade Israel, and it's going to be at a time of their own choosing, as the one gentleman says there, or the one terrorist, I should say, because definitely a terrorist organization, Hezbollah, mentions that we have learned from Hezbollah that to control and choose our own timing of revenge. And this we will do at our own timing. We will retaliate. We will attack Israel for what they have done. But anyway, this is just to cap it off right there. I wanted to bring that out to you. We have a very serious breaking news issue, though, that is a part of a very large picture here. So I'm going to take my time. This is also, again, another prophetic segment of our news. It's going to be mainly news, but I want to bring in what the stage is being set. Those that have not seen it as of yet, please go and watch Israeli News Live. Israel has officially been divided. We go into this broadcast here about what the prophetic implications are in the dividing of Israel, what's actually going to happen between the nations, and I think it gives you a good, sound biblical perspective on world news. So I'm going to take you right into this very serious news here. Russian defense minister arrives in Tehran for a 2-day visit. You heard me right. The Russians defense minister from Moscow has arrived in Tehran for 2 days of talks. And by the way, these talks here, you can definitely tell by what you're going to hear in this article here that these talks are not just passive. This is from TASS News Agency, the Moscow TASS News Agency online, where I picked this story up here. It is Sergei Shoigu and Hussein Dagan will discuss ways of intensifying military and military technology cooperation between the two countries, as well as questions of regional and global security. Okay, it's very serious here. In the article here, it said Tehran, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu arrived in Tehran for a 2-day official visit to meet Iranian Defense Minister Brigade General Jose Dagan. So they will discuss ways of intensifying military and military technology cooperation between the two countries, as well as questions of regional and global security at talks on January the 20th. The Russian Defense Minister Press Service Chief Major General Igor Konoshchunov said in his previous statement that the two countries were planning to sign a military cooperation agreement during Shoigu's visit. Military cooperation. Let me read to you some of the things that I highlighted in this article here. The Fars News Agency has quoted Hossein Dagan as saying that it was necessary to develop defense ties between Tehran and Moscow, which in his words are a vital factor of stability and security in the entire Middle East region and Central Asia. General Dagan expressed his opinion back in October 2013 is when this was actually stated there. He also said that Russia occupied a special place in Iran's foreign policy. Another quote here, ongoing cooperation between the two countries will contribute to the consolidation of efforts to strengthen regional and global security. Iran's defense minister said that was current, not 2013. Iran's news agency, IRNA, in turn has described Sergei Shoigu's two-day visit as an outstanding event. The Russian defense minister's visit will take the Russian-Iranian relations to a new level of security cooperation, IRNA actually reported. That's what they were stating there. They also stated that the problems of anti-terror struggle in the Middle East, IRNA also noted the convergence of the two countries' approaches to problems of energy markets linked to radical slump of prices for fuel and energy. These things are very, very critical that you see here. Now, let me take you quickly to a biblical aspect of this particular prophetic news update. Let's go to that. Now, I want to take you over to Ezekiel. This is the prophecy of Gog and Magog war. Now, what I'm wanting to share with you, you have to understand, this is a preparation. I do not believe that Russia will strike right at this moment, but it's not going to be too far off in the future before they do. Let's look at Ezekiel 38:7, beginning at 38:7. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. After many days thou shalt be visited. In the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword. Of course, that's Israel. Israel was carried away by the sword, by the Romans. They were dispersed through all the world, and they have been brought back, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste. But it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. Now you have to understand, what is considered safety doesn't mean that there's not wars. Safety is the fact that God has been defending Israel. It's what we've seen in the 6 Days War. It's what we see in several of Israel's wars, the War of Independence. All these wars fought against all odds and amazing victories. Also, it says here, thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands and many peoples with thee. Now, this is exactly what we see Russia doing right now. She's forming alliances. She's forming a lot more alliances than what people realize. It's something we're going to cover in the news tonight. We're getting into that. Right now we're looking at the alliance between Russia and Iran, the military cooperation. And these two entities here, these two nations are important because of what we're discussing on news. So let's continue to go on here. All thy bands with thee. Thus saith the Lord, verse 10, God, it shall also come to pass at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. And thou shalt say, I will go into the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them there at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. It's modern day Israel. You have to remember the city of Jerusalem many years ago was just a walled city. Now Jerusalem just lays out sprawled all over the hills. There's really nothing to protect Israel. The unwalled city. Isn't it interesting how they stopped the wall in between the West Bank and Israel? So it never became a walled city. That's one reason why the wall project stopped, because God said it would be an unwalled city. So the wall could never be complete. Had they completed a wall, then it would be a walled city, and the prophecy would not be fulfilled. So we still have many, many, many hundreds of miles of borders wide open, all of the cities, all of the places in Israel wide open, and nothing to stop the enemy from coming in. So, that's in verse 11. I will go, halfway in verse 11, I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. Verse 12, to take a spoil and to take prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods that dwell in the midst of the land. If you notice, it It's very important to catch this right here. To turn thine hand upon the desolate places. Remember, I've said this in our teaching ministry under the Institute of Biblical Research, that the desolation was their hearts that are desolate. It wasn't just the temple. The temple was only a type. You have to remember, Mashiach came at that time. Something I'll go in with on a different, it's not for the news, but he had already came. He came, and he did what he was supposed to do. He gave the Spirit of God, the restoration of what was supposed to be restored back to Israel, according to the prophecy that he made in Genesis in the Garden of Eden, speaking to the woman and her seed. That life, that tree of life, was restored back. Only the remnant received that life into their hearts. The rest of them, they went into bondage. And he says, when Yeshua wept over Jerusalem, said, how often I would have hovered you as a hen would her own brood, but you would not. Your house is left unto you desolate until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, or blessed is our Savior, or our Yeshua that has come. That's in the Hebrew version of this book here. Now, what is this point that I'm making here, that you understand this? Blessed are your house is desolate. Not the temple, the heart, the human heart. They were meant to receive the Holy Spirit, but they didn't. They're gathered back in the land. Notice what the verse says, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited. They're only inhabited in a natural way. And upon the people that are gathered out of the nations which have gotten cattle and goods, and that dwell in the midst of the land. But it's still a desolate place, the human heart. They haven't recognized Yeshua quite to be Mashiach when this is happening. So this is not quite the moment where they're going to recognize him. Just a little thought to throw your way. Sheba and Dedan and the merchants of Tarshish, with all the young lions thereof, shall say unto thee, art thou come to take a spoil? Hast thou gathered thy company to take prey, to carry away silver and gold, and to take away the cattle and goods, to take a great spoil? Some people say that's the oil. Believe me, that is one of the things that Russia will use to justify this war. It's because they made an agreement with the Palestinians. Mahmoud Abbas was there last year in January of 2014. He signed a deal for the oil and natural gas off of Gaza, as well as the oil deals